Hello, listeners. Once again, here we are, and the program is called Can We Talk, and we have a lot of informative information for you. I'm here with Charles Scott Jr.
How you guys
Maybe
doing
you want to
today?
say something?
Yes, how's everyone doing today? And yeah, we have an action-packed episode.
Every week we have action-packed episodes, and there's so much going on right now in the housing industry. You know, they say housing industry is where everything starts. It brings up the economy.
Yes.
So many articles on housing now. I remember before I was in housing, we practically heard very little about housing, but now every forecast is housing, this, and what's going on in the community.
Exactly, especially with social media. I mean, honestly, people get a lot of their news from Facebook when it comes to housing. They see what people are talking about, sharing articles, and it's very different than what it was back in the day as far as getting informed. But also, you have to make sure you're informed with the right information. And that's what we're here to help.
And we have years of experience in the industry. For many of you who probably never heard this program before, you're just tuning in. We're growing across leaps and bounds and across the United States and in different areas. I am the broker for Tri-State Realty, and also we have Charles Jr. He is also a broker at Tri-State Realty. And we mainly handle Connecticut, and we're branching out.
New York, too.
New York, so that's to come. We're already working a lot in New York, but we're looking to deal directly in some of the properties in the New York area and the Manhattan area. So listen to us, stay informed, and we are going to today talk about some of the things that are happening in the industry, some new changes in the industry. Every week is something new that's going on. But you almost have to be on another planet not to watch TV and CNN and all of the articles as to what's going on out there with the economy, the interest rates, the inflation.
Everything from that to the Ukraine war, the Queen passed away. A lot of things are in the news, but as far as when it comes to real estate, you can tune into us. We'll give you it straightforward and unfiltered. So as we see with this week coming up, we have the Federal Reserve meeting tomorrow. That was the 20th and the 21st. Now, as you've seen in our past episodes, we've talked about how the Federal Reserve is trying to get a handle on inflation. As we know, inflation has been out of control, 8-9%, when it should be around 2%. So this upcoming Wednesday, what do they say? It might be a little different. They may do a whole basis point or a whole percentage point. 100 basis points, which is 1 percentage point.
Exactly. And one of the things that they're looking at doing, as Charles just said, is to bring down inflation. Mm-hmm. Now, that helps everybody because let's say, for example, you're making more money. So you're making more money, that's a good thing. If you're making 10% more money than you were a year ago, hey, that's a good thing. But if you go out and buy items from the store and gas, and it's 20% more than a year ago, that's not a good thing.
Your buying power is taken away.
You're actually, making, what can I say? You're going backwards.
Exactly.
You're going backwards instead of going forward. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we want to sort of give you some insight to is what can you do to still go forward and deal with what's happening out there and plan for the future. One of the things that you might want to do, and people have been given pointers, is what do you do in a recession? What do you do when the economy turns down? Mm-hmm. How do you get the biggest bang for your buck? And I was reading this article last week, and it was saying, okay, here's some pointers and things that you do. One of them was even couponing. It said,
you're going to see coupons come back in force.
You're going to see coupons. Shop around for the lowest price on your gasoline. Shop at big box stores. In other words, do not do a lot of impulsive shopping. Rather than go to this store, that store, this store, that store, go to a big box store, whatever it may be, and buy enough groceries for the entire month. See, you got to be innovative.
You got to do things differently, basically.
Exactly. I remember back in when the COVID first hit and everybody was at home and you couldn't go out in those restaurants. One of the things that I did and was a priority is to go out and buy a freezer.
Yes.
I said, we're going to buy a freezer, and that way we can stock up on food and not have to worry about running all around the place.
What happened when we tried to shop for that freezer?
Oh, my God.
Sold out.
They were sold out. It took forever to get the freezer. Mm-hmm. And there was a line of people waiting to get the freezer.
Exactly.
Now, previously to that, there were freezers all over the place.
Everywhere.
So what happens is knowledge is power.
Yes.
If you know ahead of time, or you don't know for certain, but if you get an idea of what's happening, then you can circumvent it by saying, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to wait till it happens.
Don't wait till it happens. That's too late.
Nah, it's too late. So that's what we try to do on this program, to give you some ideas of what's coming. So it's not a crystal ball, it's not 100%,
Nope.
but at least we give you some kind of idea of
Exactly.
what's happening. Like Charles just said, interest rates. Now let's talk a little bit about that. What's happening? It seems like we've been talking about interest rates since
That's
the beginning
been
of the year.
topic of the whole year, yes, because the interest rates honestly affects everything in our daily lives, from our credit cards to our student loans to our car loans to our mortgages when we want to apply for a house. Those Federal Reserve tactics and increases affect everything in our daily life, and that's why it's important that we cover it.
And it's very important because, like you said, if the interest rates, the interest rates always fluctuate. It's nothing changed, but what's happening right now is the interest rates are going up faster than they would normally go up, and you got to look into that. So, what's the good side? Hey, good side, they're trying to bring down the prices. If you're looking to purchase a home and we're into real estate, what's the good side? Well, homes will become more affordable. So
Yes.
therefore, if you're looking to buy a property, then I would say don't hesitate, don't put it off, because you still got to pay rent. And
Exactly.
rents are going up.
Rents are going up. It's like we say to everyone, why rent when you can own? It's always better to be the owner, especially with the rents. We're seeing some rents increase 40%, 60%
That's
in
crazy.
some areas from year over year. And people are basically being shocked. They have to go look for a new apartment. They've been in apartments for 20 years, 15 years, and that's a very shock to their family and their life.
Exactly. One of the things that we're going to see in the future occurring is two things. When it comes to rentals, you're going to see more families getting together and moving in
Yes.
together. Now, that might not be a bad thing. In the past, what has happened is in a lot of areas, the what do you call it, the crime rate or the affordability rate, or the things that happen is with the breakup of the family. And the breakup of the family is everybody moves out and everybody goes in this direction, that direction, and there's no cohesiveness. Now,
Exactly.
when you talk about market and you talk about rents, this is going to encourage people through, they don't have a choice really,
Exactly.
staying put and moving in. You might stay with mommy and daddy for longer than you anticipate because maybe they have the house, or maybe the family, two sisters, or the mother and father, whatever it may be. We see now more increasingly where people that go out to get a mortgage, they have to join together
Yes.
and get that mortgage together because maybe one income doesn't do it.
And I'm gonna say that's a good thing.
That's a
people
good thing.
Saving money, and then this is the thing. People think when they buy a house, in some cases that's the house you live in forever. But in most cases, the average is most people live in houses 5 to 10 years. They go to their second house, third house. That one house could be your starting point to refinance to buy a new house, your next property, and go so on and so forth. So that temporarily living with all the family under one roof, that could be 5 years while you guys save money and build wealth and equity to move on to the next step.
Right, and in some cases, it's not even 5 years. Because
Exactly.
what happens is that by joining together, you could have one family member paying the bills and the other family member saving money, and then you save that money, or you pool your money together, and you could have enough money within a matter of a year or two to put down as a down payment on the particular house.
Exactly.
So by people joining together and people not living apart, that's a good thing, and that's what's basically, it's not whether or not you want to or you don't want to or society wants you or not to. It's economics. It's a matter of combining together. Look at it like this. If you're a company and you're a corporation and you have, let's say, branches all over the place, or I see now a couple of the big companies, they're consolidating
A lot of
and they're
consolidation.
closing down a lot of their stores. It's the same thing. It's a business. A lot of, if you've got 2,000 stores all across the United States and you're a franchise and things get tough, then you look and see which ones are the most profitable and you shut down some of them or you consolidate some of them. It's the same thing with the family. If you got family members all over the place and everybody's paying rent here and paying rent here, you analyze it and you all sit down and you start bringing it all back together. So the same thing happens as far as the rental.
Yes.
Same thing is the trend. So if you ask me what's happening and what's going forward, how things are going to occur, you're going to see a lot more apartment buildings being built.
Yes.
And you're going to see smaller apartments because a developer or a person building apartments, they can't afford to build a great big house, big space, and because the land is going to be more contained, so you may see what they call density, where you're trying to build more homes on the same amount of
Not only
space.
that, you're going to see repurposing of properties. For example, large hotel buildings are now being converted to condos and apartments. Now, when it comes to those hotel buildings, they're not going to go restructure every room. Those rooms are probably going to be the same size as what the apartments are, little small studio apartments. We're going to see a lot of repurposing from, for example, we have one of our listings is a school. It used to be a school. Now it's beautiful condos.
Right.
We're going to see a lot of that.
Exactly. A lot of the older schools are being converted to condos, and you have a lot of the hotels that are being converted into,
Apartments.
1 or 2 bedroom apartments. Now, here's another thing that's occurring, and it's happening all across America. See, in this program, we're sort of telling you things that are happening right before your own eyes, and you just don't realize it. It's transition. Look at what's happening with all the malls.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, the malls, you see a lot of the anchor stores and large malls are empty. I mean, not to name any names, but you'll go to a mall and you'll see on an average Tuesday it's empty. Like, what's this place about? It's only packed on the weekends. They're going to be taking those malls and repurposing them into apartments. I've seen a lot of articles in different cities throughout the United States, and it'll be here pretty soon in Connecticut. I know a few malls that could benefit from that.
Right. So a lot of the malls are being converted into apartments, and they have all of that parking lot. That parking lot area is being converted into developed land to put in an apartment building. And it's a win-win situation because now you have all of the people living there that are going to shop at the mall.
Exactly.
And you also have the land that's already there. So the owner of the mall turns around and gets a partnership with the developer who's building the apartment building, and it's a win-win situation for both of them. Another thing malls are being converted to are medical centers.
Yes, we're seeing that a lot too. Malls are being changed into what we call like the urgent care. You've seen them around. They're popping up everywhere. But especially malls are they have the perfect structure to be turned into a medical center from the separate rooms and the large parking lots. So we're seeing that a lot around Connecticut also.
Right, you can have an urgent care or a mini hospital built right inside of a mall, so that when you're there at the mall, everything is contained. All of the places America is going through a transition because especially now with the, what do you call it, online?
Online, yeah.
Online is...
You can buy everything online.
Online's taken off, especially ever since the pandemic. The pandemic and the COVID change was a game changer. It changed a lot of things all across America that'll never go back to the way it was.
As we mentioned in a few episodes back, with the pandemic, they said it increased online purchases as if 5 years had passed. So basically, if there was no pandemic, the level of online ordering we have now may have not occurred until 2027, 2026. But the fact the pandemic pushed everything forward, we're in unprecedented waters at this point, yes.
Exactly. Now, we're in the real estate business, but real estate takes money. So what we're doing is we're trying to tell you and encourage you how to make money to buy the real estate. We have a selfish motive here. Our motive is that we are trying to help you, and we're trying to give you some insight into what's happening and some of the things that you need to do. And one of the things, that article that I read talked about what to do in the future, is it said make more money. Figure out ways of making more money. If things cost more, then you figure out ways of making more money.
Exactly.
Look at the time you spend at home. Maybe think of an in-house business. Maybe think of a mail order business. And maybe think of some kind of ways that you can increase that income to be able to fit in there. Now, you take, like I said, online. Everything, there's a lot of opportunities with online. The other thing is delivery services. look at Uber, look at, I always amazed. What's the biggest cab company that doesn't own one cab?
Uber.
Uber doesn't own one cab, not one taxi. And they came out of nowhere. There was all you ever heard of was Yellow Cab Company, and now Uber is taking over. Uber's everywhere, and the company that owns Uber doesn't even own one taxi, but yet they're the largest taxi cab company.
And if you can say, they're also probably the largest food delivering company. They also do that
I was
too.
getting to that. Talk about that.
I mean, I've seen it a lot more often than normal now. You'll go into a restaurant. It might be a restaurant, an upscale restaurant. You'll see a bunch of little kids in there, younger kids. I'm like, where are these kids? They're Uber Eats people. They're picking up orders. They're making money. I mean, I was talking to one kid. He said he makes about $700 a week. He's working, but he's making $700 a week, and he gets paid the same day. So people
same day.
Same day pay. Uber pays you that same night. They're not waiting. So I was saying right now, people say, "Mate, how can I make money?" Oh, you could be an Uber delivery driver. And honestly, not even a driver. Uber lets you deliver on foot, bicycle, whatever you have to get the food to that person, and they will pay you that same day.
And see, I didn't even know that. So you don't even need a vehicle.
Don't even need a vehicle.
You can go. Hey, you can
Roller
go,
skates.
you can go out and get you can take and dust off that bicycle that you got in the closet.
Yep.
Spray paint it. Put
Hey,
a
how
little
about
sign
here
up
in
there.
Bridgeport? We have those little scooters all on every block.
Oh, that's true
You
too.
can rent the scooter and go to work.
That's a good idea.
Very true.
That's true. A lot of the cities now have the scooters that you can use your debit card.
Rent that.
And the scooter's right on the corner. But I'm saying we're laughing. But what we're trying to get you to do is to think outside of the box.
Yes, there's opportunity.
Don't think of the same thing. They say, what is it? Luck is where preparation meets the opportunity. But you got to know it. You might walk past that scooter every day and look at it laying there or sitting there and not think anything about it, and pockets are empty, and say, I need money. When bingo, the light goes off, you take that scooter, people call you up, you go deliver some lunches, and you do that all day long, 7 days a week. Just think about it. No gas, no expenses, car don't break down. And here's an even better thing, because the scooters are just taking off. You take that scooter and you go to one side of town, and after you make a delivery there, you leave it there. You don't even got to go worry about bringing it back.
That's one cool thing about those things.
You just leave it right outside and get another scooter and go on another journey. So there's ways and opportunities that you have to be able to think about. Yeah, I can do that. I can turn around and open up a business. I have a young lady that I sold a house to, and recently she called me up to get some information. And she's been working for other people. Well, hey, she decided to open up a daycare.
Yeah.
Hey, think about it. What's happening is that people are all starting to go back to work.
Yep.
Daycare is big business.
That's big business.
People pay $200, $300, $400 a week.
A week. Per child.
A week per child.
Yes.
Just for someone, babysitting ain't like it used to be, where you
Sure
got
isn't.
50 cents an hour.
It sure isn't. It's more. I'll say I've seen some 24-hour babysitters,
Right.
because people work all times a day.
So you can get the children in there. You have a home, or you don't need a house. You have an apartment, and you open up your daycare center, and you get yourself 4 or 5 children. Hey, and if you're getting, let's say, $300-400 a week, you're making $50,000 or more a year, and it's not called a babysitting. And now you incorporate a little education in there, a little training, a little tutoring. You got a little tutoring business on the side. So people out there, we're giving you ideas. In other words, you got to think outside the box and think of, how can I make some extra money?
Exactly.
And what does all of this cost you? Practically nothing.
I'll say with the training you can receive from YouTube University, you can find out almost anything today as far as skills or anything that you would need to, take action on.
And I don't know if they caught that. YouTube
University.
University. What's
Let's
that
go to
mean?
YouTube.
Just Google it and go to YouTube and ask YouTube. You don't even have to type it in anymore. You just hit the button and talk and say, find this. And what does it say when it starts off? It says,
they'll search for you. Google Voice.
It says, we'll find that in a minute. Boom. And not only will it find one item, it'll find 25 different videos that you can watch on that subject.
Exactly.
And you can see all of the mistakes that the other people have made before you, tell you all about how to do it and everything. You don't have to go to school. You don't have to worry about taking a course.
Right.
And
Go
so
right there.
what we're trying to tell you is that there's so many things out here, that there's so much opportunity that you can have it right at your disposal.
Especially what I say, January and February, as we approach into the year, we're going to see probably a downturn in the economy. So this is going to be skills that are going to be essential to allow you to, strive while others may not.
Exactly. And the thing about it is that it's the average person that's going to be able to make a lot of money and make out. People are going to need what you call services. This doesn't mean you have to be a rocket scientist. This doesn't mean you have to be an engineer. This doesn't mean that you have to be highly skilled in order to make money. Because when you're a business and you're trying to make money, when things downturn, well, who are you going to get rid of first, the workers or all your highly skilled people and all your engineers? You're going to get rid of the higher skilled and the engineers, because they're not bringing any money in. They're thinkers and they can put things together, but it's the people with their hands and the people that are out there doing the work that are going to be able to make the production. It's called productivity. You want your workers to stay in place. So you, in turn, you have actually a more of a stable situation, because it's the finances that are getting hit. Look at what's happening with the stock market.
Exactly.
Look at what's happening with the financial industry and the banks. When the interest rates go sky high, the banks can't loan money.
Exactly. You see that happening now. With the interest rates going up, you're going to see the stock market go down, because, see, now the money is expensive to borrow. You see a lot of people work on margin. They borrow money to invest money, and then they make out in the middle. But if the money you're borrowing costs more than what you're going to be making, you're going to see things plummet as far as when it comes to stocks. Yes.
Exactly. A good example. Look at what's happening in the mortgage industry. Now, we have many, many friends that write up loans for mortgages and for other items. Those are some of the people that are getting laid off.
Yes.
The mortgage industry, the people that deal with the finances, because when the interest rate goes up, they're not able to give out that money. But the workers and people that are out there making and producing items, remember, they can't produce them fast enough, because that's what's creating the inflation. People are buying and buying and buying. They're buying goods. And actually what happened is with the, the supply chain.
Yes.
When the supply chain got disrupted and you saw the container ships stuck out there,
Yes.
and we couldn't get supplies from other countries, it was really a benefit for America, because then all of a sudden America started building things made in the USA.
Yes. They're forced to at that point.
And a lot of the companies have decided to have distribution warehouses closer to the people, because they got caught off guard. What good is having a demand for 1,000 refrigerators and you only have 10 in stock?
Oh, yes.
And it's going to take 4 months to get them over here from China. So you have a lot of companies now that are investing in America, and a lot of companies that are building in America, because they want to be able to supply things locally.
Yes.
Look at the chips.
The chips. I was just going to say that. What they're trying to do is what they're going to basically, right now, the supply chain for decades has run on a system called just-in-time, which means you order it, it arrives at the end of the week, just in time before you run out of stock. What they're going to be doing now is a new form called just-in-case. You're going to see the supply chain get revamped, where they want to actually produce stuff locally, so just in case the just-in-time order doesn't come, we can have this also.
Exactly. And where did that just-in-time come from? What happened was, China and the other countries took over the United States as far as production and as far as low prices. And how were they able to do that? They had just-in-time, which means that they only produced goods that when they were needed.
Yes.
So therefore, they didn't have a big factory. They didn't have 1,000 workers out there doing things, waiting and hoping that they would get sold. They only sold when needed. They only put orders in when needed. Versus in America, we were just building, putting them in the warehouse. It's sitting in the warehouse, taking up space, and they have to charge more for those goods because they have to warehouse them. So we got away from all of that. And we had a lot of storage, and our prices were not competitive. So then they said, "Oh, okay, we're going to do that. We're going to do just in time. We're just going to produce
from
things
China.
Order from China.
We'll be here at the end of the week. No
yeah,
problem.
it'll be here at the end of the week, so we don't have to have all these warehouses full of stuff. If we can order it, it can come here, then we can get it for a lot less money. Then guess what happened? All of a sudden, the supply chain shut everything down, and we got caught. So now, the supply come off of the pandemic. You have a high demand for everything. Everybody's stimulus money rolled in. People got money burning a hole in their pocket. The stores were. People used to say, "This, what kind of pandemic is this?" You go by the mall is packed. Everybody's got money. Everybody's looking to buy something, and there's nothing to buy. So now the warehouses that we had were cleaned out, no supply. So now the new trend is, let's go back to building and having distribution centers locally so we can be able to jump at that supply and that demand. So in other words, what we're telling you is what's happening out there and why things are happening so that you can see some type of benefit to you. How can you benefit from this? What business can you go into? And how can you make extra money?
I was going to say, the reason we're telling you this is because I'm going to say 2023 is going to be a good year to have all your savings and ducks in a row, because you're going to see a lot of opportunities. Some of the most opportunities you'll never see. This once in a lifetime opportunity coming up, they're saying next year.
That's it.
As far as acquiring assets, whether it be cars, real estate. We'll talk about that more next episode.
Exactly. But I see it as a fantastic opportunity. Anyone out there right now with a business mind, or you don't even have to have a business mind, anyone that just knows what has an inkling of some things that are going to happen, and you have an idea. It doesn't take a rocket science, and you sit. Most of the billionaires and the people that are out there, some of them never even went to college. Some of them quit school to go out and pursue an idea, and they made billions.
How about this? They'll get invited back to the college to give a speech.
How about that?
An honorary degree.
An honorary degree, and to teach the students that are there. And they didn't even graduate from the college.
Right, they dropped out.
They dropped out. So we don't want to say drop out, but you look at the picture.
Exactly.
So again, hopefully you learned a lot from us today, and we got a lot more to give out there.
Yep. And tune in next week. We'll talk more about what the Federal Reserve met this week, and we'll go from there.
Right, because more breaking news next week.
Oh, yes,
breaking news next week.
Stay
tuned.
Wait
to see what we got to say. Stay tuned for next week, because after this week, we're going to see where those interest rates are going, and we're going to talk about it in the next segment. So make sure you don't miss the next segment.
Definitely.
Again, until next week, God bless.
Amen.